Good afternoon. My name is Bridget and I'm from Fraser High School.
And my name is Emily Flecky, and I'm also from Fraser High School, and our project is on Freshmen polycephalin plasmodium growth due to temperature and light exposure. Molds can be found in many places outdoors and inside homes. Freshmen polycephalin molds specifically can be found in forests and gardens, and people work in gardens all the time, so they can be exposed to this mold. So we wanted to know how much of this mold could grow depending on the environment around it.
Throughout our presentation, we will go over the problem statement, the hypothesis, our experimental design and procedure, our data analysis and interpretation, and our conclusion.
So what is Freshmen polycephalin plasmodium mold? It is a slime mold, and it acts like one giant organism or blob because it's acellular, which means that there are separate nuclei, but there are no cell walls or membranes that separate each individual cell. Our problem is how both the temperature of an area and the amount of sunlight given to that area affects the mold growth when situated in water. Our hypothesis we came up with was if there is more sunlight in the area and the temperature is higher, then the mold will grow more depth with the oxygen. So knowing that we are going to get a plasmodium layer with every test, no matter what the factors are, what is that plasmodium layer? It is a layer consisting of a mass of protoplasm containing many nuclei, and the protoplasm includes the cytoplasm, the nucleus, and other organelles that would be in a cell. So plasmodium is also Latin for plasma, which means mold formation, and this is an image of the plasmodium, which our results should look like this. So how does this plasmodium layer actually form? First we start off with a spore, which is a reproductive unit. Then we get an amoeba, which develops from a spore with added nutrients. Then we get the plasmodium layer, which develops from amoeba through asexual reproduction.
We chose slime mold because it's faster growing mold and is commonly used in experiments. And it's really easy to collect data from. And if it's used correctly, it will grow upwards and downwards instead of outwards. Our materials are 75 test tubes and 2 test tube racks, tape, 35 degrees Celsius incubator, a 36 degrees Celsius incubator, and a 37 degrees Celsius incubator. For our test tubes, we need to set up the test tubes and the racks ahead of time. Label each test tube with the plus plus, plus minus, minus minus, or minus plus, or even standard test to show which one it is. And now we need to make the auger for the test tube.
So to make the auger, we need a 1 liter beaker, 1 liter of distilled water, a scale, a stirring hot plate, a 1,000 milliliter flask, 23 grams of auger powder, and a stirring magnet. So first we would measure 23 grams of the auger powder out on the scale. Then we would pour 1 liter of water into the 1,000 milliliter flask. We would then put this flask on the hot plate and set the hot plate heat to high. We then add a stirring magnet to the water and set the magnetism to 4, and then slowly add the auger powder to the water. Allow this mixture to turn from a cloudy liquid into a clear liquid, and it should appear yellow when it's ready. Pour approximately 8 milliliters of this solution into each test tube. Make sure to slant the test tube racks before you pour the auger so that once the auger is dried, that you have a greater surface area for the mold to grow on.
For our mold placement, we want to scrape a little bit of the mold off of the plate using the inoculation loop and put it in the test tube. After we do this, we want to put foil on top of the test tube to keep out dust and any other contaminating particles.
The factors in our experiment. Our first factor is light, and we had a low value with no light, a standard value of average fluorescent light, and a high value of direct light. We thought that the most light given to the mold would produce the most mold creation, so that is why those are high and the opposite for the low. And for our temperatures, we have 35 degrees Celsius as our low, 36 degrees Celsius as our standard, and 37 degrees Celsius as our high. So what do these factors, and what do the test samples mean? Our first column stood for light, and our second column meant temperature. So our high test was given direct light and put in a 37 degrees Celsius incubator. Our high-low test was given direct light and it was put in a 35 degrees Celsius incubator. Our low-high test was given no light and it was put in a 37 degrees Celsius incubator. Our low-low test was given no light and it was put in a 35 degrees Celsius incubator.
And then our standard test was given fluorescent light, and it was put in a 36-degree Celsius incubator.
For our light factor, for the high and high-low test, we need 45 minutes in direct sunlight. For our standard test, we want 45 minutes in the average for less fluorescent light. And for the low-high and low-low test, we need 45 minutes in no light at all. For our temperature factor, we need the high and low-high test and the 37-degree Celsius incubator, our standard test, and the 36-degree Celsius incubator, and the low and high-low test, and the 35-degree Celsius incubator.
So sanitizing materials, we need a Bunsen burner, tongs, boiling water, and a striker. We'd use the striker to make a spark which would light the Bunsen burner, and then we would hold the inoculation loop over the flame to kill any of the existing bacteria. And also to clean the test tubes, we would submerge those into boiling water several times, and that would remove any bacteria that is in them. After 3 days of the mold forming into a plasmodium, we recorded the total amount of growth in milliliters for each test using rulers.
For our standards, we found that there was a lot of variability and no pattern at all. The average of the standards was 2.73 millimeters in growth, and the range of the standards was 1.5. For the effective temperature, we found as the temperature goes up, so does the mold growth, and the effect value of this is 0.056.
For the effective light, we noticed that when no light was given to the test, the amount of mold that grew was actually larger than when light was given to the test, and we had an effect value of -1.235. As for our interaction effect, we noticed that since our slopes were almost parallel, there was not an interaction that played a significant role in our experiment, and in other words, one factor did not help drive another.
For our significance test, we took the range of standards and doubled it to give us -3 and 3. Then we took all of our effect values and put them on the graph. We found that all of these were in between the percentages, so nothing was statistically significant.
A quick recap. We made the auger, and then we poured that into the test tube. We placed the mold on top of the cooled auger. We put the test in the appropriate light source for 45 minutes, and then we put the test in the appropriate incubator. And we also measured the depth of growth in millimeters.
Going back to our hypothesis, it was if there is more sunlight in an area and the temperature is higher, then the mold growth will be the most in-depth in the auger.
We actually rejected our hypothesis, and we found that when the test that was given no light and put in an incubator of 37 degrees Celsius, that we found the most growth. So why didn't light help with the growth like we thought it would?
This is because previous research indicated that light would boost growth, but we found with further and more in-depth research that it did not need light to grow. In fact, with no light, the spore creation was actually increased, so it would grow more.
Improvements made for further testing, we would use a more accurate way to measure the growth instead of millimeters because sometimes it was very difficult to get an exact measure. We would also do more trials to get more accurate data, and this is specifically for like the standards because then we would be able to tell if anything in our experiment was significant or not. We would also use a lamp for direct sunlight so that the light that was given was more accurate because each day there wasn't like a solid 45 minutes of light for each test. And then these are where we're excited.